Am I on?
You are on.
I'm on, yes. Okay, great, good. I'm always waiting for that cue, and I don't really know because like the opening is like an awkward time. It's not even like 5 or 6 seconds. Thank you guys for watching. You're watching Just Talking with Johnathan Lewis, and we got a good show today. I'm going to get to that in just a minute, though. Mr. Rush, see?
Yeah.
Dang. I was telling myself I wasn't going to do that, too, and I messed it up anyway.
You only got what, syllable out?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep, I didn't hit the rest of it, so Mr. Rush. Anyway, how are you doing, sir? How's your week been going thus far, all the way to this beautiful Thursday?
Been going great, always hot, melting in this heat, but still loving life.
That's what's up. That's what's up. Same here. I got my kids at pool this week.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's a nice little pool. It's not like anything huge or gigantic. We don't have a lot of money like that, and they work their butts off too. Oh, by the way, I meant to mention it before. They did a lemonade stand, which they work Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays doing to earn the money for the things that they want throughout the summer. But they when they first started, they got a bunch of awesome feedback and response. A lot of people came. Some people just donated. They sold plenty of lemonade, but they earned at least half of the amount for the pool. They did a really good job. They sat out there in the sun and they complained, but they didn't complain too much because they understood what they wanted. So, they worked for it. So I want to thank everybody that came out and helped them to do that and get those feelings and sensations of what it is that we get to take enjoyment out of and pleasure out of when we work hard. You know what I mean? They get those lessons early in life. So thank you guys. But it was cool putting the pool up because it wasn't exactly a pool. I got a stock tank. That's what I got, was a stock tank. If you don't know what a stock tank is, it's a big water tank that's used for feeding stock or for watering stock. Like bulls and cattle, stuff like that. Livestock, exactly. Stock tank, livestock, stock tank. There you go. And it's funny for how simple that is. It took me a little bit to figure out what the hell the tank was called. I was looking at water tanks. I was calling places saying, "Hey, you guys got those big, huge, water? It's like a giant bowl." And they're like, "We don't have any big bowls." I'm like, and then it was a show. I think it was a show on TV or something. Someone was watching on Netflix or something. Somebody said it, and I was like, "Wait, what was that?" And I ran it back, and it was like stock tank, slow motion stock tank. You know what I mean? Anyway. But anyway, it's been good setting it up. I had to connect the pumps, so I like to do my own work on stuff. So it was cool because I had to install the pumps. It leaked a little bit, but I did fix it. I did get it fixed, Mr. Rush. It was leaking pretty good, but I got it fixed. And it's working now, so now I feel like I'm some sort of an engineer. But if you saw how much of that flex seal is on there, you'd be like, that's your engineering. That's the secret behind it. Chemical products. But it worked. Anyway, we're going to get moving on through this thing. I've got a good show. I've got a lot of stuff to talk about. A lot of things have been going on in the last few days that have made my mind walk around a lot. Yeah. So the first thing we're going to do, if you'll notice today I don't have a guest as well. We're going to have another guest next week that's already lined up. So you guys make sure that you watch too. It'll be Miss Brandy Sims. She will be our guest. And we'll have plenty of good questions for her too, so I hope she's ready. But this week, we're just kind of doing our thing here, and I'm going to go ahead and yap my trap a little bit, which is okay because that's what the whole show's about anyway. Just like Mr. Rush over here singing a whole new theme song and all that. I'm with it. Hey, we can drop it. We'll record it. That's what we're going to open with next time. Okay, anyway, so the first thing that I want to talk about is, okay, so what we're seeing right now in the news happen is we're starting to see all of these politicians. They're kind of starting to crumble a little bit in some regards because there's so much corruption that's coming out into the open. So much stuff that's starting to be, get more attention to it that are making people watch. So, there are the things that are there to distract us. And when I say that, I don't mean things that don't matter because the way to distract people is distract them with things that matter to them. There's the number of issues that we see that distract us when it comes to our safety, our well-being. But what we're not seeing so much of, we're seeing less of it, is all of the stuff that's taking place with regards to all of the subpoenas that are going out to these different politicians, all these different people who are being arrested and having charges filed against them. There's a lot going on that we're really not seeing in the mainstream because we're we're dealing with the other issues that we live with immediately. And that's the intent behind what the media is doing. They want to cover up some of these things, but they'll leak a little bit here and there because whenever they do that, it helps to pick sides. It helps us to pick sides with regards to how we vote. Anyway, the reason I bring that up, Los Angeles, there's a councilman there, Jose Huizar, 61-year-old. He has been charged with in a major bribery scheme. He's taken apparently, the federal charges is racketeering charges is what they got him on. He's on a planning committee there, and what he's been doing is he's been dealing under the table with people. They've been gifting him things. He's taken apparently millions of dollars in money from people to basically help them win contracts, so that way they can have plots of land. These realtors and all that, and people building new buildings, and all that stuff. He's on the land planning committee. What does that say to you? So anyway, he's been busted in this sting, and the reason I bring it up is not just because of the fact that this dude's been busted and he's going through all this, but he's a councilman for the city of Los Angeles. Those are positions, which all political positions are. They're positions that we're supposed to be able to have trust in people on. This guy took the city for millions of dollars, like millions. And in the articles that I read, there was even I think one of the FBI agents was investigators that was involved in investigating the whole thing said something about the magnitude of this guy's crimes. He's like, we've seen big crimes similar to this, and he took that city and the people for a lot more than some other people have. And I guess they were actually out to do that. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like he was out to me also, but I don't know. But anyway, it's crazy to me because I think about the whole thing and I'm like, how is he still a councilman? How have people not voted him out a long time ago? Because surely these aren't things that just happen on their own. You know what I mean? The guy's making decisions. People are seeing him make these decisions, and you can kind of tell from people's behaviors or whatever if they're up to something. I don't know. My instincts have always kind of been there for that. I think I'm pretty good at making somewhat of a determination if somebody's out to get me or not. But it also could just be my paranoia too, because I've always really thought that a lot of people are out to get me. And I don't think I was always wrong though either. I don't know. Not sure on that one. There we are. Yes. This is great. I love it. All right. So anyway, I'm going to move on. 6:08. What? Time is flying. Okay, so the Aunt Jemima issue. Now, I get what they're doing with all the foods. They're changing everything. What I want to talk about with regards to the Aunt Jemima thing is the family of Aunt Jemima, or the person that portrayed Aunt Jemima anyway, came forward not that long ago, just 4 or 5 days ago or something like that, and they said something to the effect of they don't want to just do away with the Aunt Jemima thing and rebrand the whole thing and forget about Aunt Jemima because they don't want their relatives' legacy to just be forgotten. And now, I've seen other people say stuff. I haven't actually taken the time to research it just yet, but I've seen other people say stuff. My stance on it was what I found was that the woman that portrayed Aunt Jemima was the owner of the company, and she would go to food conventions and cooking conventions and shows and things like that, and she would portray the character. She would do blackface to portray the character. And there was even an image that I saw, and I don't know if that was the real Aunt Jemima or if that was this woman, but she was smiling, plates full of pancakes. She had pancakes galore there, but she was chained to this table. Now, I'm looking at the picture of this particular picture. If it's the one cycling around Facebook, then you know what I'm talking about. And I don't know, that she didn't look like a black woman to me. She looked like a white woman, like in her features, you know what I mean, and that she had covered her skin. Something looked unnatural about her presence. And she was extremely happy about these pancakes, too, with her leg chained to this table. So I'm not really sure. But to me, I think that I can understand where they're coming from as far as not wanting to forget their family's legacy. But then I think about like what the legacy is. Like if it was based on a real person that she was copying, you know what I mean, or trying to mimic, that she stole this woman's identity essentially and then branded her then they can go to hell. I don't give a shit. They can forget all about Aunt Jemima and that. You know, tell me some more about the real Aunt Jemima. But on the other end of it, like to them, that's their family. You know what I mean? Ultimately, I look at it and I'm like, it's pancake syrup, and I get what they're doing, but there's much more important things at hand than syrup, and I understand what they're doing with, like the Uncle Ben's rice. It all makes sense, but like these are like such menial things in comparison to the larger things that we should be dealing with. Bruh, do you see that? Did you see that on camera? I wonder if that's what I was feeling, because I thought I felt something on my wrist, and I looked down, nothing was there. It was a freaking spider. Go on, man. Get on out of here. Get. He's like, oh, you want to fight? I don't want to fight. I don't like fighting bugs. Their legs make them move too fast. It creeps me out. You'll know if there's a cricket in this month, because I'll jump up flipping out, screaming like a little girl and shit. Oh, my God. Yeah, you didn't think I could do that, and I did that. Yeah. Huh? Okay, so let me move on. Anyway, that's where I stand with the whole Aunt Jemima thing. I want to look it up some more so I can find out what the real truth is behind that. But ultimately, in the end, I think that we need to be focusing on much bigger things. Let these companies do what they want to do, but let's not consume the media headlines with those kind of things, because I feel like those are pointless stories that really just make people's feelings go one way or another, And as much as I'm for bringing people information, and at sometimes trying to make them feel something of my feelings towards it, I don't really like the idea of creating sensationalism in the news. I would rather, here's the facts, here's the information, think what you think of it, but at the same time, when you ask me my personal opinion, oh yeah, I'm going to sensationalize the hell out of something, because whatever my feelings are towards it are that for a reason. But as far as you having the information for you to make your decisions based on it, I would much rather just be like, hey, here it is. What do you think? Because I'm eager to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Sorry, I'm trying to figure something out here, which one I want to move to next, because I got a lot of good stuff. Oh, you know what? Ron Jeremy. You know who Ron Jeremy is, right?
Yeah.
Do y'all know who Ron Jeremy is? This man is looking at 90 years in prison, bruh, for 3 rape charges, reaching as far back as 6 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah, there's more details to that, but I wasn't really concerned about remembering all those details, because I'm just kind of like more like, what in the what, bro? Okay, I mean,
You used to get paid for that.
he used to, bro. I mean, he used to get paid for that.
Well, what I was trying to say is, don't think that's enough. Ain't that enough?
I mean, apparently it wasn't.
It wasn't.
He was down for the super get down, which I'm not trying to make jokes about the incidents at all, because that's not funny. But that's crazy to me that like bro, like, have you not got laid enough that you had to rape 3 women? There was, I don't understand it. Don't get me wrong, man. I'm a guy. I get it. I get how we get frustrated. That shit will make you into a whole different person sometimes, but it won't. If it makes you into that kind of person that you have gone to the extent of drugging somebody, forcefully raping somebody, or anything like that, like, that's all self-control. That's a self-control thing, is what that all is. 90 years for 3 charges. That's the part that's tripping me out, because there have been people that have had way more rape charges that we've heard about in the mainstream media, and they weren't looking at 90 years. They're talking about giving him 90 freaking years. This man he's old too. I'm not saying he don't deserve 90 years, but what I am saying, because he deserves something if he raped these women. But damn, can we go look at some of these other rape charges people have had again and reevaluate those and hit them with those kind of things? Because rape is not the business. You know what I'm saying? No matter who you are, no matter where you are. And that's a lot of the political shit we're seeing too. We're starting to see more of these kind of allegations come up about people, and all of it comes down to Jeffrey Epstein, right? Epstein. That sounds like it's like a show, the Epstein Files or some shit. You know what I mean?
They should make it.
Well, they've already got a whole documentary on him on Netflix.
No, I mean, they should make it about what everybody else was doing.
Oh yeah, open up the black book.
There you go.
Yep. Oh, that reminds me of something. You know, Trump has a family member, I think it's a niece, if I'm not mistaken, who is trying to have a book published right now, trying to release a book. So Trump's brother tried to get the courts to shut it down and not let her publish it. And they said, nah. So she's supposed to publish a book, and apparently this book has a lot of information in it about their entire family that they don't want to get out, and she's releasing it. Where do you think that's going to go? I wonder how many people are going to end up suicided that she knows. That's that scary shit. Yeah. But you know what? You really just got to run through that shit headstrong and be ready to kill people or something. I mean, because if you can't protect yourself, but you're ready to put yourself in that kind of position, that's the wrong decision. Anyway, let's see what we got next. Bill Cosby. Good old Bill Cosby. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to wait and talk about Bill Cosby in a minute. Yeah, we'll talk about Bill Cosby in a minute. Was that my 5-minute cue or was that my 1-minute cue? My 5-minute cue. Okay, let's see. We'll talk about that one in a minute because that can kind of come from the other one. You're probably like, why didn't you think about this before the show? Because that's just not how we function here, man. It just... We're just talking. Okay, you know what? Let's go ahead and toss it to break, and then we'll come back, and then I'll have a better idea which one of these I'm going to talk to you about, because there's just a lot. So, okay, don't go anywhere. We'll be right back, and in probably about a minute or so. That's it. You have a list of things to get finished, and life isn't slowing down anytime soon. This, that, and the others prepared and experienced to get you to having things
Joe
done.
Powell with Solutions Auto Group right here at the new location in Duncan, Oklahoma. I was fortunate enough to hire Thomas Lewis and his staff. They're TT&T. I hired them for 3 or 4 weeks. They did a lot of renovation work here at the new location. They did a lot of cleaning. They did a lot of painting. They showed up on time every day, and they went to work. Could not have been any more pleased.
Call This, That, and the Other, renovation, small construction, and more today. Your small business is ready for the next level of marketing. Having the right tools in hand can help catapult your business into the place it deserves to be. From custom commercials that are ready for broadcast to the professional voiceover that you need for your business phone recording or radio commercial, we build it all in-house. Sign up with us today and see how all of our plans offer exactly the tools that you need. And more importantly, they don't break the budget you set for marketing. Call and visit us online at lookandlawton.com today. Let's get your business to the next level. lookandlawton.com. All right. Thank you guys for coming back, or not going anywhere, hopefully. Yeah. Anyway, you know, what I should have done during the break was I should have gone and got me some ice for this drink. Yeah, it's kind of warm in here, if you guys didn't know. You know, I really want to go to the lake. I haven't been in the lake in a long time. The kids told me they went with their mom last week. I'm like, I'm a little jealous. So, you know, what I'm going to do whenever they leave is I'm going to float around that little pool for a while. Just chill.
I went last weekend.
To the lake?
Yep.
Did you catch anything? Were you fishing?
No, I was catching something.
I don't ever catch anything anyway, so.
15.
Yeah. You caught 15?
15 bass.
Woo, 15 bass. Where at? The spot?
Medicine Park.
Medicine Park, huh?
Medicine Park.
Dang, that's what's up.
Anyway.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to plant some vegetables or something. Trade some vegetables for some fish. That's something everybody needs to be into. If you aren't into it, you need to start doing something different. Start trying to grow your own stuff and just be more self-sufficient. If you don't, it's just gonna get a lot worse, I think, before things get a lot better. Because if you look at the unemployment rate, you see another 1.4 million people, I think it was, declared or filed for unemployment.
Wow.
Yeah, yesterday, I think, in the last 24 hours. Which they were expecting, I think, 1.13 or something like that. I can't remember those numbers exactly. But they were expecting something different than it was, and it was actually a little bit more. So now, what does that say about our economy? If places are opening up and the jobs are still disappearing, it means that everything's having to change. And what it also means is that businesses that are still running are looking at new ways of adapting, which means that they're going to need less people. We're going to start seeing a lot more robots. Every time I get an ad on my Facebook as I'm scrolling, that comes up with one of these new technologies, you know, that are replacing human beings, I share it because I look at it and I'm like, people need to understand. And a lot of these that come across my newsfeed are they're starter companies. They're startup companies. So these are companies that are building right now. They've already got certain technologies. They're looking for investors because they're not quite at the point where they can hit like they can be put on the trade markets and shit. You know what I mean? So I share them because I'm like, people, we got to understand that if we don't start coming together in different ways that we all can learn something new and understand things in a different perspective than what we're used to, then what we're going to end up finding is that a lot of people aren't going to be prepared for that new future that's coming. There's a new normal that's happening and shaping that people don't really understand is taking place. Because right now, see, I think everybody thought when COVID hit and saw that it covered the whole world and is doing what it's doing and has been doing it since, I think people were expecting this overnight, boom, all of a sudden things are different, and now there's, martial law, and there's the future is here, and it's this. But people fail to realize that these changes that we will go through, whatever they may be and however they may be triggered or started or whatever the cause is, they will all take time. You can't impact an entire planet's worth of people and the way that they exist without taking time or without being something that does a lot in a short period of time. So, and it kind of reminds me of, not exactly the same kind of comparison, but it kind of reminds me of this thing that one of my professors taught me in school where it was you had 3 options, good, fast, and cheap, and you can only have 2. So you had to figure out which combination of 2 that you wanted. And that's basically how you go into the ideas of negotiating. But it's something similar to that. Like you can't have one thing without the other. But what we're seeing is that the way that COVID has taken over the whole planet and is taking over the whole planet, it's forcing things to function in a different way and become something else. Like there's a whole nother mold that it's falling into right now. So if you're not moving with the times in the future in terms of your capabilities, then you're going to find that in the next year to 2 years to 5 years, I call that a long point away, your position in where you're at with regards to how you're living life right now is going to be very different. And that goes for all of us. That's not just any particular people. That's everybody. We're going to have to start doing new things, and we're seeing that now. I think we're already seeing that start to take place. So, talking about COVID, New York, Connecticut, New Jersey are all reinstating 14-day quarantines for people that are coming into the states from, now I'm not exactly sure on this, but I believe it's from highly impacted areas where they're seeing spikes at right now that are starting to grow. So if you're coming into those 3 states again, then now you're back on 14-day quarantine. And we're starting to see more of these things like this being implemented. We're starting to see other states that are implementing mandatory masks. Now you can actually end up with a ticket, possibly I think even jail time. I'm not really sure on that one yet, but I do know that you can end up with a ticket at the least for not wearing a mask in some places. Look that up so you can see where those are at. That all, I think about that and I'm like, it's kind of a tough feeling because, I think that as a people, we want to think about things in terms of our safety, right? I think all of us have the natural self-preservation mode that kicks in. And then, the preservation of those that we care about. But then I think about, on the other hand, you have freedom. And the freedom to do as you see fit to do, right? How can you really mandate that somebody wears a mask if they don't really want to wear a mask? Now, then you can say, okay, well, it's about people's safety, and it just becomes about, like, you got to find this balance of how much freedom am I going to give you, versus, how much I don't have to, and how much I don't have to care about other people's well-being, perhaps, or whatever the case is for not wearing one. I think about those kind of things, man, and then it just kind of leaves me like, where are things going, and like, how much are they going to change in the next couple of years? Because if something doesn't happen with COVID, which that's another thing too. COVID, they just started, well, that's a whole different topic of conversation, really, almost. In Africa, they just started doing trials for one of these vaccines. And it raises the question of why is it always Africa? They always go to Africa, right? They always go to Africa to test these things out. And it almost makes me wonder, like, I mean, most people say it's a racial thing. They say they go to Africa, they go to the Middle East, like Bill Gates is over there doing all this stuff, and he's depopulating the world. And that's what some reports are. If you try to Google that shit, you're not going to find it, not anymore anyways. You're going to have to do some serious digging to find all that information, because it's like when everybody got locked inside, they went on a major internet information hunt and got rid of all kinds of stuff. But you can look all that up. I'm sure I've got a homeboy, if he happens to be watching right now, I know he's going to jump on there and say, oh, here you are, da-da-da-da, and talk some shit, because he always does it. He's a doctor. I guess that's what doctors do. I guess that's what they do. I'm talking to you, Pablo. Yeah, you know it, sucker. Anyway, Bill Cosby. I mentioned him earlier. Bill Cosby's been granted an appeal hearing after 2 years in jail on a 3 to 10 year sentence. This fly is killing me over here. People are probably like, man, you got all these bugs, spiders, and flies. I said, yeah, we doing the show. We might as well be outside. We just throw an outside background up there. Yep. Like, why not just do it outside? It's just as hot. Either way. Anyway, Bill Cosby he's finally granted an appeal after serving 2 years in jail, an appeal hearing. This is, the articles I read about this kind of had me in two different sides of this. His attorneys are saying, okay, now we can take a look at this and see how this is another black injustice that we're seeing here, and they can reevaluate, reinvestigate, and grant these appeals. We have high hopes, after the hearing. And, it's like, what evidence was there for his being locked up from the get-go? Do you know anything about that case at all, Mr. Rush? Nothing. I mean, I know that there was a number of women that made allegations towards him drugging and raping them.
Yeah, I know
Yeah.
the basics,
Um,
but I don't know anything.
I don't really know what was like the solidifying thing, because a lot of it seemed like, now from the little bit that I can remember what was going on in the media, it seemed like a lot of people were just kind of popping up and saying, hey, if somebody, it seemed like this person's filing a lawsuit, I'm going to file one too, because I was in a similar situation. Or it seemed like they were really speaking up because this really happened. But like with a couple of the people, they started finding information that they were saying wasn't true. So, it makes me curious how much of it was true. And, is it a thing that's looking for resolution, or is it a thing that's creating more destruction in its path for a justice? Does that make sense? You know what I mean? That's how I look at it. I don't know. I guess the news, man, a lot of the stuff in the news is kind of leaving me feeling messed up these days in regards to not understanding the right and the wrongs of things, but looking at things and saying, understanding their purpose, their reason for me coming across it in my own path. I don't know. That's just me. Here's something that was of interest to take note of. Actually, no, I'm going to wait on that one. I'm going to wait on that one too. The Kids for Cash judge in Pennsylvania. I don't even remember that dude's name. I remember his face, though. But the dude went to jail because he was a judge who was found that he was basically selling kids to this private prison. So it was basically a school-to-prison pipeline that he was creating, and he was selling them, and he was making money on it. So he was basically selling these kids to this private prison so that they had inmates. He was basically hitting people with harsh-ass sentences that they didn't deserve, and most likely it was going to be people who were of color that he was sentencing with these harsh sentences. And he was making sure he was keeping his pockets full. Anyway, he just got out early. He was released 6 years early on COVID concerns. And that's happening with a lot of people right now. I don't know if you guys are realizing that. There's a lot of people who are getting to get out of jail early that are looking at their sentences possibly being permanently done at home where they're not supposed to leave and just be on house arrest for the remainder of their sentences. He's out 6 years early. And they said that he's likely to do the rest of his time at home. The dude sold hundreds of kids to this prison. Oh yeah, man, he should be facing life. What was he doing to these kids? He screwed their whole lives up from the get-go. I'm just like, but we're seeing a lot more of that kind of stuff come out more. We're seeing more of that take place. And you know what? This is the age of knowledge. This is the age and we're leading into the age of reason if we're not already technically in the age of reason. And I think what we're going to eventually see is enough of us are going to get pissed off with the idea of learning all this stuff. Because pay attention to what you're reading on the news. You're not even seeing all new stuff. You're seeing some old stuff come up. You gave me a 5-minute cure a minute ago, didn't you?
I just gave you the one.
Oh, just gave me the one, too, and I didn't even... Hey, I thought he was just pointing at me like he was like, what I was saying was like some legit, you know, because it was like, I was like, man, it's real shit, brother. But he was like 1 minute cue is what he was saying. Okay, well, I guess we'll go ahead and toss it out then. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back in a minute. We're going to take a quick break. Got to pay the bills, all that good stuff. And then the good stuff comes. So, yeah. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back. Get off of me, fly.
We cover all of the details. Wax, wash, and shine, your vehicle is guaranteed to come out shiny. Let us pay attention to the detail. We're here to vacuum wash and deodorize your vehicle on a professional level. Don't leave it to the other guys to miss things. We see them all. Do you have a fleet of vehicles? We're equipped to take on all the vehicles your business has too. Keep your business vehicles looking the best they can. Stop by today and schedule with us or message us on Facebook. Full Throttle Detail, located at 1601 Northwest Sheridan Road in Lawton. Bring your fur baby into Just for Canines and Kitty too. We have all of the best items for your cat, dog, pup, or kitten in stock. From pet beds to toys, we have everything you can think of. We carry the best selection of pet hygiene products and a huge selection of cat and dog foods. Spoil your pet by letting us give them the full treatment from massage to complete bath and grooming. We also offer our mobile grooming services. Be sure to stop in today or give us a call. Just for Canines and Kitty too, your pet's favorite place to go.
And we're back. Yes, I had to check my mic again for a second. Well, I made that mistake before. I thought I pressed the button to turn it on, and it wasn't. I missed a whole segment. I did that. I really talked, and nobody heard anything. So, it just looked like looked ridiculous. I probably lost a lot of views for that show. There's no telling.
You just put their own soundtrack on it.
Yeah, just go back and just play something from SpongeBob, and it will work. The sound will probably line up. Or was it the other way around? You can play anything to SpongeBob is what it is, right? And then, yeah, somebody did that on YouTube before. They said you can put anything to SpongeBob and it'll line up. And I'll be damned if it didn't line up. It sure did. So I'm going to jump right back into this stuff. Fly. Starting to get hot. Starting to melt. If you want to donate, we still don't have a damn donate link. I got to get that donate link set up. Dang.
Do it tonight.
I'm going to do that tonight. And I'm going to set up a GoFundMe. I don't really know why, but it just is, if you want.
You do need to get a patriarch.
A patriarch?
Patriarch.
There's so many things today. What in the world, man? It makes me feel like I'm not I feel like I'm out of the loop, even though I'm not out of the loop. Because I do web design, I do web design shit, and
you just talk.
And I just talk, man. I just talk. You know what I don't do is play enough video games anymore. I'm like, so when I was a kid, we had a bunch of video games like Nintendo and Super Nintendo and all that. But I don't recall us ever having like 30 plus games. I've got like 30 something games, at least for my Xbox One.
And how much do you play?
I hardly play it. And now, mind you, I do use the Xbox. I just use it to watch like Netflix and all that stuff. And I'm usually working or something. And I work on my laptop or whatever. So I don't really get invested into the games like I used to when I was younger, as a teenager. And I keep trying to tell my boys and my daughter, all of them, you guys are always playing the game. You're always playing the game. Well, not always, but, when you do, play something different. They play like the same 4 games or 5 games. I'm like, man, you got like a whole section of Blockbuster would have had before video games to play. And you've never played almost, 85, 90% of them. They don't. And that was the part, too, because if they knew, they'd be like, wow, Daddy, you got a lot of games. I do. And there's games down there, I haven't even opened them yet. It's not like I've got like a shitload of games. It's just enough games, you know what I mean, that I feel disappointed because I spend so much life talking and so much life working. They don't spend enough time playing, man. What in the world? I would love to be out in the pool right now. That'd be great. Anyway, moving on. So NASCAR driver Bubba Wallace, the FBI investigation, the results that they turned up. Have you heard about this with the pull rope noose?
The noose.
Yeah. So the FBI came back and said that it was not they said it was a noose, but they said it was not done as a threat to him, which is kind of crazy because they say that they found evidence that it could have been tied as far back as 2019 in October.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of crazy because that's like, okay, well, somebody clearly tied it. And they said that there's like 1,637 bays or something like that they have there, and that was the only one tied like that out of all of them. It just happened to be his. And they said they can go back as far as October 2019, haven't been tied like that. Now, I'm like, how do you determine that? Did you have photographs of in this time frame that you're saying, and this you happen to see this rope in there, and that rope was already fashioned this way? You know, obviously it's a noose. We know what's going on today, what's taking place with things, so you can't just disregard it, especially when there's over 1,500 of these bay areas that they have, and none of the other ones were tied this way. Somebody went to his to do that at some point. So here's another question I have. And you know, the FBI, the Bubba Wallace and his team basically said that they hope that the FBI will investigate further and look more. But you know, they're ready for whatever backlash. But he knows that somebody tied that noose for some reason, for something, and it just happened to be in his deal. It makes me wonder if they didn't have photographs, how can they determine it was tied back then, that long ago? Because they didn't. Not one article that I've read so far about this gives any details of their investigation. What did they find? You know what I mean? What you know? Who did they talk to? How did they go about investigating this? They're just saying, nope, it's not a hate crime. It's not a crime at all. You're not a victim in any way. Just coincidental. Sorry, man. Nothing else we can do. It just doesn't make sense to me. I really think about it in terms of like, okay, well, the evidence matters. You know what I mean? The evidence matters. The rope itself, that matters. That's a statement from somebody. You know, they're saying somebody's saying something. And here's my next question, I think, is since October of last year, if that was indeed when it was tied up, how many races have taken place at Talladega since then? Has it been a lot? Has it been none? Has it been very few? Because if you really investigate this, you can dwindle this down to a selection of people at some point. How many people have used that bay? There's a track of this that they keep. There's some track record that they keep of who uses what area at Talladega for their crew. It just doesn't make sense that they wouldn't have some sort of records like this. It's not just like, hey guys, pick one. Which one are you in this week? Or which one are you in this race? You know, like there's a method to it. If they're really investigating, I think they'll find out more than that. You know, and it just seems like it's all, I don't know. I think what we're seeing is the system at work. That's what I think. Yeah, sure, we'll investigate it, but to what extent? You know what I mean? That's the system for you. It's just doing its job, as usual. 7.7 earthquake in Mexico the other day. That's crazy. I said they were feeling that for miles, like way far away. And there's a tsunami warning that's now been issued for all of Mexico. Yep. All of Mexico, Honduras, El Salvador, and Guatemala, all of them have a tsunami warning. 7.7, that's insane. I watched a video. This lady was recording the sidewalk. The sidewalk in front of her was literally going like, it was like shifting, like, and opening and closing like this. That's crazy, earthquakes. And, you know, I'm sure people are like, dude, you've never been through an earthquake. I've only ever experienced one earthquake, and it wasn't much of an earthquake. The ground moved a little bit that day. That was it. And that was in 2000 and, what year was that? 2012. was when I experienced that. It was that night, one of the events that we did. Old Club Escape back then. I don't know if y'all remember that. Yo, if you remember Escape, throw something down there. Hey, me and Joe Biggs did some good parties back then, man. We did. Yeah. Anyway, moving on. That earthquake, they said it reached as deep as 14 miles, bro, into the earth. Yeah, bro, Earth was moving.
Tectonic plates were bouncing.
Oh, that brings me into the idea I was talking about earlier with the end times. I feel like the end times, we hear a lot of people, man, we're in the end times, we're in the end times. And I mean, when you look at these books of prophecy and you match to the best of your ability some of the things that are taking place today with some of the things that are mentioned in the book, you can say that they line up. You can say that they're similar enough. But what I don't think, I think about this and I think about time and I think about that which is inevitable, which is the continuation of existence. I don't feel like the end times is like the end of all things. And, of course, that comes down to your belief and what you believe in and all that. I personally think about it like this. There's a time frame that has been prophesied about that says, certain things are going to happen. That's how you'll know you're in these end times. And anybody that I think uses their mind in a way that they can say, how can I be in a controlling method or in a controlling position? I think that if you step back and you say, okay, well, there's been this book of prophecy or these books of prophecies, because there's actually a bunch of things that prophesize many of the things that have been taking place for a long time. If you look at them, if you step back and you say, okay, these things were all prophesied by these people, their beliefs were this, you can, if you remove yourself from the spiritual aspect of it or from the religious aspect perhaps of it, and just look at it for the incidents that they are, the occurrences that are taking place, the idea of end times becomes kind of less scary to me, because end times sounds like, man, we're all doomed. Ain't nobody getting out of this. We're all doomed unless, you follow whatever rules may have been prophesied or said about before you. But I look at it like, what about everybody who's not doing those things? What about everybody who's never even heard of some of those things? What about, all of these souls that don't have that same belief system? So I started thinking about it, and I'm like, this really applies to all things. You can name a series of whatever you want, and then you can drill it and drill it and drill it and drill it and make people believe something because you've drilled it enough and you've labeled this. Well, I mean, every single prophecy could come true. It doesn't mean something is the end, because the end is when the end is, right? I mean, I'm not going to say I'm dead because somebody said, hey, in this year, everybody's going to die. I'm not going to be like, well, damn, I'm already dead. No, man, you got to prove that one to the maximum, because I'm going to fight you to the end of that. You know what I mean? So anyway, what did I say that triggered me on that? There was something that was, I can't even remember. I'll move on. Georgia passing a bill for hate crime protection. It's the first ever in Georgia history. They have had no kind of hate crime bills ever. So that's awesome that they've done that. On the other hand, they also passed HB 838, which offers police protections from being victimized for their profession. So that's a good thing because it protects police. But if somebody finds himself in a situation where they're having to protect somebody who may be a victim of a police officer, they now are almost not able, get off of me, fly. Jesus, you see this, guys? I'm sick of this. I'm going to write a letter to somebody about this shit. To my superiors. These conditions need air conditioning. Damn it. I'm going to be pissed when I get that letter, too. It's going to be a bad day, because I'm going to fire myself, and then I'm going to have to rehire myself with a raise, because that's what it's going to take to get me back. Shit. Anyway, so what I'm getting at, though, is so if you're having to protect somebody, for instance, from a police officer who happens to be doing something illegal or unjust, and you find yourself having to protect them. How can you protect them when you're basically saying you're having to protect this person from them because they're the police and they can't technically protect themselves? Or how can you protect yourself from somebody who is a police officer when you can say they're doing this to me, but if they say, well, why are they doing this to you? Then you say something like, well, because they said that I broke this law. Well, okay, so why didn't you listen to him? Well, I mean, he was trying to hurt me. Okay, well, he's a police officer, right? Yeah. Well, you can't just hurt him. He's a cop. You see what I'm saying? So now that's not what it protects, but I feel like that's what it's going to turn into, because what it protects is you can't say you're hurting a person because they're a police officer. You see what I'm saying? So you would have to have some other reason. But ultimately, if you bring everything down to if a cop is doing something unjustly, he's doing this under the profession of being a cop. And it can be spun to say that you tried to cause him harm because he was a cop. You see what I'm saying? It could just be some really, I don't know. I guess we'll see how that goes. And maybe of course there's more to it, because I got a very generalized version of it when I read it. But maybe there's more to it that, we're really evaluating how these things go. And in here in our city too, I hope that we really take the time to, before we start passing policies and we start, making the changes that we will make here with the new committees and all that are coming up, or commissions and all that, I hope that we're really taking the time. This fly is just, he's like, man, I'm a guest today. All right, so now that you're here, see this nonsense? Oh, let me cover that. We don't want to get sued by anybody. I always feel like a kid after I drink out of a Gatorade bottle, because I always end up having it on my lip.
What's the point of hiding?
Damn, I just said it, didn't I? Oh, man, you see how slow I am? God, come on. Talking too damn much, I'm ended up with a lawsuit or something. Don't tag that to this. We don't need none of that heat, none of that smoke. All right, I'm going to move on, because I just feel like that other thing, there's too much that can be there. This was, okay, so Russia has, for the fourth time, or fifth time, I think, in the last 4 weeks, but for like the third or fourth time, something like that, in the last week, we've intercepted them flying in area spaced by Alaska. So their frequency of them flying over there is increasing, and they've spent as much time in what is like, I guess, a mutual air zone or something. They spend about 4 hours flying right next to Alaska, flying in that area. So it makes me wonder, what do you think's coming? I get doing practice missions and all that stuff, but I mean, that's kind of like testing waters, if you ask me, especially for fifth time, something like that, in the last like 6 weeks or something. I can't remember. You have to look it up. But yeah, that's happening. And then, but here's something else that's cool. This isn't Russia though. This is actually Poland. The U.S. is actually making some pretty major investments in Poland. They don't have nuclear energy, but they're about to, because we are about to go over there and give them nuclear energy. Yeah, nuclear energy. So basically, there's this new agreement that that the president of Poland and Trump talked about yesterday, that they did this conference about yesterday. And they're talking about, the new things to come. And basically, long story short, Poland's going to get a lot of stuff, and it's going to be really great for them, because the nuclear power is something that's going to be huge. Think about the kind of changes that would make. They're also going to get some military stuff, but we'll also have military aid from them as well. But I think that we're also going to help upgrade their military and all that. When you start talking about military and technology and energy sources and resources, things like that, and then countries giving them from one to the other, I like the idea. I think that's cool. But at the same time, I'm always weary of the politics behind it that we don't get to hear about. You know what I mean? Because there's always some reason for something. You know what? This random thought just popped into my head because of the fly that was flying around. I saw a moth earlier today, man. Like this freaking big, man. Gigantic. I'm like, this doesn't even make sense. I remember being a kid and never in my life did I see a moth that big, ever. That's some, yeah, I don't know. Apparently, though, Poland has something going on because even Microsoft is looking at investing $1 billion in Poland. That part kind of concerns me a little bit. Moving on. The third competitor, runner-up for president, she's starting to pick up steam right now because a lot of people are just now finding out about her. Jo Jorgensen. Yep, she's a libertarian. And from all the things that I've read about her so far, pretty sure she's going to be the first woman president. I think she's going to win it by a landslide. I think people are going to come out and vote there because people are so sick and tired of things. And there's so many countries right now around the world, man, that, especially with COVID, they have female leadership, and they're like rocking, bro. Like those countries are doing way better than most of their male counterpart countries, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think she's going to win it. I think a lot of people are going to come out and they're going to be like, they're actually going to vote for her. And because when you start researching her and the things she stands for, it's like that's what all of us are really like, yeah, man, just give us our shit and let us be what it is that we, life and liberty. You know what I'm saying? Some shit like that. And everybody's just tired of the other two. And nobody really knew about Jo Jorgensen until, some people did, but until the last few months. I didn't learn about it until the last maybe 2 months, 3 months, probably about 3 months ago now. No, 2 months ago now, I think. I want to say it's about 2 months. I just recently learned about her with that, so I started investigating, and you could tell like she don't have the money that they got, because her website looked like garbage. It looked like some she got her friend's kid to build it kind of shit almost. Like it was that bad to me. But then again, I'm a web designer, so it's frustrating is what this is. So Jo Jorgensen, I think she's going to win it by a landslide, to be honest. I think she's going to come in and knock it out of the park. And she's probably not even going to expect it. She's going to win and be like, oh my God, I'm going to be the president. And then everybody's going to be like, history in the making, another thing for the books from 2020. Oh, 2020 is the year. It is the year. And 2030 is going to be another devastating year. Well, I don't want to say devastating like things have just been devastating. They haven't all been devastating. Some things have been pretty bad. But 2030 is going to be pretty tough too. Don't ask me why. You'll just have to do your own research on that one. But don't feel crazy when you get to looking some of that shit up, because you'll find some shit. Let me tell you. This freaking fly, he's like really trying to kick it with me too. He's like, man, I'm chilling by you. You on camera, you live, baby. I'm like, buzz, you know what I'm saying? Fly. What, Anyway, $1.3 billion in COVID relief aid payments sent to people who passed away. So $1.3 billion will go back to the government. And nobody will know what will happen to it, because they deliberately sent these checks out to people who passed away, knowing that they'd passed away. How do you not know they passed away? You have all of the records. You know that they passed away. You know what I'm saying? And again, this is the system at work. It all comes down to the system. The system. And the reason the system is faulty is because the system requires so many people to be involved in it. You can't have thousands upon thousands of people. That is what the government is consisted of or comprised of, and expect it to run like super smoothly. Like you can't just expect that. There's going to be. We have to figure out a new means to get people in the positions that are there. It has to be more than just. It's got to come down to us voting, but it can't just be like, who's on TV the most? Who do we see the most? Oh, go vote for them because that's who you knew. That's who you remembered. That's when you got in there and you saw the ballot and you were like, oh, that's the name I think I remember. If you even went. Like, we got to figure out something, because all of these different people, there's always somebody who's trying to make a shortcut somewhere. There's always someone who wants to fill their own pockets a little bit more. Or it ain't going to hurt people that much. Nobody will notice, Who doesn't want to get out of my face? Making me look bad right now. Not really. Anyway, yeah, so, I mean, because what's about to happen to that $1.3 billion? Where's it going to go? You know, like the family members who have those checks, like they can't do anything with them. So they just cancel those checks? Do they put that money back towards the $2 trillion debt? Or do they keep it and they stash it away somewhere else? They spread it out in other places. Like, I really would like to know more about that. If you happen to have information on that, let me know. Drop something down in the comments and let me know whatever it is you got. As a matter of fact, anything that I've talked about today, if you have any more information on it that I should know, let me know. Because I would like to talk about it more on some of those things. Some of the other things, I'm not really too concerned about moving on from. But most of the other things, I think, if you got more information, let me know what it is, because I'm happy to talk about it. Where was this other one? No, we talked about that. We talked about that. I think that's about all I got. That's it. Yep, the $1.3 billion. We got to the end of my list of things to discuss. So now I'm going to plug myself a little bit. Make sure you guys watch us on YouTube every Thursday. Well, the episode will probably be up. The show will probably be up Friday. It's usually when it comes up Friday on YouTube. But every Thursday on Facebook, like today, and watch us next week. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe. When you go to YouTube and you subscribe, hit the little bell, bling, so that way you know when we're live, or when we do go live, or if we do upload something new, you'll get those notifications. What else am I supposed to plug? I keep forgetting. He has little hand signals. He's not even giving them to me today. And oh, did I plug them both?
You did.
I did it. Yeah. Oh, you know what? Like, I did say it. Like, share, subscribe. Yeah, that's what I'm talking. It's so hot in here. Yeah, we just talking. And you know what? Oh, if you got something you want to talk about, get active with me. Drop something down on my page, and I'm going to check it out. Send me a message. I don't care if it's something that you want to discuss. I promise you I'm going to research it, and I'm going to talk about it. And I might even invite you to be a guest on the show so we can talk about it some more. Get some shout-outs that way. Yeah, look forward to seeing you guys next week. And thanks for joining me. See you then.